Hi, I'm Jim.
I'm Rinda.
We are Hardiness Approach.
And today we are in our kitchen cooking because one of our subscribers asked us if we could make steel-cut oats.
Not steel oats, steel-cut oats.
And I used to call them steel oats. He was like, Rinda, what are steel oats? So Jim, what are steel-cut oats?
Steel-cut oats, it's the whole grain of the oat. And they're called oat groats. Sometimes they're called Irish oats. And they have taken the husk and the inedible part of the kernel off, and they are cut up into smaller hunks. They're not they're cut with a burr cut, steel burrs. Okay, you're coming back. And many of the mills that produce them also roast them to give them more of a little bit of a nutty flavor. So we're working.
They're very, very good for you. They are gluten-free. However, some places that process them have gluten stuff, so you have to find out and make sure.
They use the same equipment to process grains that have gluten as they do these, so you could end up with a little bit of gluten involved. So you gotta be careful.
Yes. There are two ways that we cook steel-cut oats. Jim is actually cutting an apple ump right now. He's going to dice it for one of the ways. The way that you can cook steel-cut oats in the morning for you, it takes 30 minutes to cook it. You're going to take 4 cups of water and put it in your pan and put in a little dash of salt, eighth of an inch, you know, whatever you're comfortable with.
Eighth of a pinch.
Eighth of a pinch. And I always add cinnamon, because one thing about oatmeal lowers your cholesterol. So does cinnamon. So I really like cinnamon in it. And then I put this on the stove to boil. While that's boiling, I'm going to tell you about the other one.
The other type of steel-cut oats? The other way of cooking it?
The other way of cooking it.
The other recipe?
Yes. They have to be really keen and catch up on both recipes.
Or is this the size you wanted or smaller?
I would do them half of that.
Okay.
But they're pretty good.
Okay.
Okay, the next one is my favorite because you get to make it the night before and wake up to it. And it's so creamy and good.
When you wake up, you have the smell coming through the house.
Yes, you do.
You just know that breakfast is going to be a good one.
Now, the recipe says to take a spray and spray your pan. We don't use spray in this house, so I am just rubbing the outside of my little crock pot. And you know I'm using a small crock pot. If you have a large family, then you can use a large crock pot.
Yeah, you don't have to do it her way. You know, make it fit you.
Yeah, absolutely. This fits us. So I am putting butter all over in this, and my husband and his sister and his mom all put a dab of butter in the bottom of their oatmeal anyway.
For those of you who are wondering, what's Jim doing with the apple core? Is he just throwing it away? This is labeled chicken. This is on its way to the chickens.
Okay, into my crock pot that is buttered, I added 3 cups of water. And into that, I'm going to add 1.5 cups of whole milk.
But I have to homogenize it first, right?
We buy raw milk, so let's just put
3 of those?
3 of those in there.
So 3 of those would be, that's 3 halves, right? So
Yeah.
that's 1.5 cups
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, again, I add cinnamon and some salt. Okay, now we go ahead and add 1 and a quarter cup of Steel-Cut Oats. So this is our ratio.
I just realized something. This means we're going to have some Steel-Cut Oats for our snack today.
I know. Okay.
We will put the recipe in the show notes, so you can look down there. There's other information there as well, but look for the recipe in the show notes.
Did I go through all this and then you interrupted me, or do I need to?
It's time to repeat.
3 cups of water, a cup and a half of milk, salt and cinnamon to taste, and a cup and a quarter of Steel-Cut Oats.
Now you can change the ratios, but which is what we did off of the original recipe to make it fit our quantity.
Apples.
Yes, do they go in there now?
1 apple.
1 apple. Diced up to size that you like. Too big, it doesn't cook down. Too little, it's all mushy.
We do not put...
I like crunch in there.
We do not put...
She doesn't.
I do.
She does.
We do not put sugar in ours. So...
We did with the apples.
Yeah. So now it goes in the crock pot. Cook 4 hours on low and 4 hours on warm. Huh. I'm sleeping, man. If you have a crock pot that you can change what it needs to do, it's supposed to be 4 hours.
Programmable crock pot?
Yeah, but we don't have one. 4 hours on low and 4 hours on warm. I don't have that. So it's the last thing I put on before I go to bed. So if I'm going to bed at 10 o'clock, I put it on. I get up at 6 o'clock, I turn it off. It's been fine.
So we put it on tonight before we go to bed?
Yep. That's what we do. And we will show you what it looks like in the morning. You guys, it's so good. Now, you know what, Jim? Let's cook it. Let's cook it. Then it's done.
Okay.
Now, one of the beauties of Steel-Cut Oats, whether you're cooking them on the stove or in the crock pot, is you have the ability to heat it up another time. So it stores up to a week. We just put it into a container and bring it out, add a little bit of water in a pan and cook it, so we don't use microwave, and be able to do that. So yeah, that's why you can make it ahead of time. You can make more than you need for that batch. And my water is now boiling, and so I am going to actually put it on the one, no, leave it there, leave it there. So now I'm going to add this. And you want to bring it right back to a boil. Right back, as fast as you can to a boil. So as high as you can, get it high. And then you're going to simmer it for 20 to 30 minutes. And you want it just so it's barely simmering, because it likes to stick on the bottom. And if you cover it, then you spew it over. So you bring it back.
Which makes a big mess that somebody has to clean up.
You.
Okay, we're boiling good.
Okay. So I'm going to put it on the back, because check your stove out and see what works better for you and your stove. And that's actually what the recipe says, is every recipe will be different, the stove will be different. And that is going to cook for 20 to 30 minutes, and then you just serve it. You can serve, it's got milk in it. We serve it with milk or cream. It's really good with berries on the top. And this one, like, you could put apples in that too to cook. Or raisins or anything where you just, somebody ate all the raisins.
It's what you're supposed to do with raisins.
Well, we were in the middle of making a video for cooking, and the neighbor knocked and said, hey, I've got my ATV and my brush hog. Would you like me to teach you how to use it? And you can use it as long as you want to. And we're just like, oh my goodness, yep, we'll regroup. So, well, I got left on my own because he went out to use the brush hog. I want to show you how beautiful this oatmeal is that is on the stove that cooked. So it's got the cut oats are poppy. They just kind of pop when you eat them. And like I say, put them in a bowl with, if you want honey, use honey and some berries, or don't use any sugar, just use berries. And so good. It's so good. And even though it has a little bit of cream in it, we would still use some milk in ours. All right, let's try this and see what we think. It has been more than 8 hours. Oh my goodness, look at that. Creamy, creamy oatmeal with apples. Now we went ahead and did this today rather than doing it all night, but we still did it for over 8 hours. So I'm just showing you that you can do that, go to bed at night, wake up in the morning, and look at that. I mean, it is wonderful oatmeal. I think I may have a little bowl of oatmeal with my dinner tonight just because I know how good it is. Now, as a reminder, I will just keep it in the crock pot for now and dish some out into a smaller pan tomorrow morning, and this will do several morning breakfasts for us. And so thank you, subscriber who asked for this. That was pretty great. If there's something you guys really want to see, let us know, and we will strive to be able to do it.
Wanted to show you a little bit of what has happened with our paddock that we set up. It's been a few days now, and we knew that it was going to take more days than just one because they had the lane, if you remember, and also a paddock. And I want to show you what they've done to them. To me, it looks like it's time to go ahead and get them moved. If you look closely, you can see what we've got here in the lane. And then you see the fence here, and then the grass that's on the other side. Now you see how they've reached under the hot wire to get what's over there, which is great. They've kept the wire from getting touched by anything, which is fantastic. And then this is the paddock area over here. I want you to take a look at this as well. It's pretty much this way all the way to the end. In fact, today I came out and did some brush hogging. Borrowed our neighbors till it broke down. Wasn't my fault. There's some kind of a problem with the carburetor, but the cows were all the way down at the other end, so they've been using this whole paddock. So I've got the paddock finished. This is the new corner right here, the new end of the lane, and I left the posts in for the rest of the lane because we'll use it again. And at the last lane I blocked off that other paddock. Probably don't need to, but I'm just going to keep them out for right now. So this is the paddock. The last one was 50 feet across this way. Now it's 65 approximately. And we're going to see how this goes. I'm going to get the next one ready fairly soon so that when they're ready in a couple of days to move, I'll have it ready to go. And then I'll just start leapfrogging them across the field. I don't know if you can tell from this video, but as the field goes north, it gets a lot wider until we get to the other end. And so the paddocks, I can make them narrower at that point and just longer, or I can make them as wide and divide them in half and let them be on the first half one day and then the second half the next, or if I divide them into thirds, whatever it might be. We're going to experiment and see how this goes. Some of my concern is that I had to knock down a lot of grass in the process of getting rid of the thistles, and that's a necessity. I mean, the thistles are ruining the grass, not something the cows are going to eat, and they'll just totally take over the field if we don't get them managed. So I'm going to do what I can do to manage them. Using the brush hog was easy and quick, but it takes out a lot of grass. So I'm going to see if I can come up with a way with what I already have that's not overly physically taxing and dangerous, takes way too long, etc., etc. But some easy way to get rid of those thistles without knocking down a bunch of grass in the process. But for now, the cows have a new paddock. I like the way this is going, and I get this sense that by managing this way, everybody else says it, but as I'm looking at it, just looking at it from a observation standpoint, I can tell that it's going to make a big difference in how this field regenerates itself and continues to produce what we need to produce. I'm watching a hawk right now. Stay away from my chickens. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching.
One more caveat about the oatmeal. You tasted it, what'd you think?
Wow. You know, two different, same oats, right? The Steel-Cut Oats cooked differently, very different texture.
Right.
Taste-wise, maybe similar, but the apples make a big difference.
Oh yeah,
So.
it's like it's a big bowl of comfort food.
Oh,
It's really great. And we didn't even we added honey to the one that was from the stove. We did not add honey to the one the apples were in, and it was delicious. So, I do want to tell you this.
So what's the caveat?
As a little girl, I had oatmeal every single morning of my life.
Rolled oats.
Rolled oats. Except for Sundays, we had cold cereal.
Special day.
And what I found was, I loved oatmeal, so that was great. Oatmeal and a piece of toast. But that was my breakfast. Oatmeal and a piece of toast. So by the time I got to school, I was starving. Because oatmeal doesn't stick with you a long time. So load it full.
It has great nutrition.
It is.
But it doesn't have the protein.
It's a good carbohydrate, and it's only got 5 grams of protein in it. So add protein in with it. You can add stuff in. You can add flax seed and chia seed, and there's some good protein and some good amino acids. But have a scrambled egg and a piece of wheat toast or some kind of, if you want that.
Small piece of steak.
Small piece of steak. Something good that will stick to your ribs and hold on to your appetite for a longer period of time. So the oatmeal is a delicious, 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 cholesterol lowering, everything good for you. But just add a little more protein with it. That is our oatmeal day.
We've been telling people, we've been doing YouTube for 3 years, and then we recently we've been saying 3 years, and we recently looked at when we did our first videos, and it wasn't 3 years ago. It was over 4 years ago.
In July it'll be 4.
Yeah.
Oh no, in July it'll be 5.
So we've been at this a while. So we started with a few premises, and it's evolved and morphed a little bit, but it's always been about seniors because we are. And seniors are important to us. And we have had different messages we've given. Aging in place.
Sustainably living in place.
And let's make the second half even better than the first half after you get to 60. That's my intention.
He plans to, yeah.
So that's the message that we've been carrying, but to say those nice things about it, that's wonderful, but how do you make them real? How do you make them better years? And what we believe is that it's a simple formula, not always simple to implement, but it starts with good food, healthy food, food that fuels your body, food that is medicine for your body. And you can buy that in a lot of places. It's far better if you produce it yourself. And that's what has propelled us to do homesteading, so that we could grow nutrient-dense food in the way we believe that it should be produced. So we have it to eat, we have it to enjoy. And so that's where the homesteading comes in. But we also believe, and this is a big deal, that daily life requires a lot of us physically. Homesteading takes that to another level. And as we moved back to the homestead and we're doing tasks, more of them, and harder ones, heavier ones than we've been doing, we started straining and injuring our muscles and our tendons and so forth. And we've been saying all along that the physical exertion that you do on a homestead isn't enough to keep you in shape, because so often you get pushed all of a sudden because of a circumstance that you didn't foresee to have to do something that is beyond your capabilities at that time. And so exercising, muscle building, strengthening, endurance building kinds of exercises, not just simple mamby-pamby stretch a little bit. You need the stretching, don't get me wrong, but building up that capability so that when you gotta do it, you can do it. That's extremely important.
When we first started, I did something to my back and then my knees, and I went, oh, no, your first inclination is, I hurt, I'm going to sit still. And that's the worst thing you can do for your body, and I knew that.
Well, if you're injured, okay, you gotta rest it, right? I mean, you don't want to go re-injure it, but...
Well, I didn't.
She didn't.
I didn't re-injure it, and I didn't sit still.
Right.
I stretched it, and I moved it, and I have no pain. I'm still not even close to where I was before we left here.
But she's never going to get to the point that she's going to try cartwheels.
Never. Our neighbor said that you're getting old when you think in your mind you can do something, but in your body says, no, you can't. And we realistically understand that. There are things that we know we need help with. But
Case in point, tools that we've purchased.
Yes.
I mean, we've spent money on that we typically in the past wouldn't have spent. But we knew that there were chores, tasks that we had to complete, and we needed something to help us do it.
Okay, so this is what I came up with today. When your animal needs something, he gets or they get priority over your plants. When your plants need something, they get priority over your house. When your house needs something, it can wait.
It waits till there's time.
It waits till there's time. But your body moves to the top, because we have a 1,400-pound cow, and we never going to be in good enough shape to take on that cow. So we do what we need to do to be able to love it, brush it, walk with it, take care of it, and so that it is one with us rather than being any kind of aggression.
Well, and let me say this today. There were 2 times that I needed to move her, because I
wish I'd had a camera.
3 times, actually.
It was so cute.
3 times. The 3rd time is the one she's referring to. But each of the times I was able to talk to her, pet her, rub her where she likes to be rubbed, coax her and encourage her, and she went where I wanted her to go. The 3rd time, I had to have food.
Okay, so he had made the new paddock because they ate the other down. Well, the reason I want you to see the paddock is because he moved the cows up to the corral while he was doing it.
No, I didn't. They did that on their own.
Oh, they didn't like your noise.
Well, no, they were up here when I went down there, and they already knew there was no grass.
There's no grass. It's gone. I don't want to go down there.
Well, I kind of fudged, okay? I opened the 2nd corral that they haven't been in, and there was stuff in there to eat, and they went there, and they really didn't come out of it for whatever reason. The whole time I was out there, they finally came out and went and laid down. But I kind of tricked them to do that so I could take things apart without them getting out.
Okay. So when it came time to put them in the paddock, they were up here. And I says, "Hun, they don't think there's anything down there." So he took a little thing of grain and started walking down. And this is where I'm like, oh my word, why was my camera not there?
It was right out there. I thought you saw it. You didn't see it? Oh,
so
okay.
there they are, 4 of them. Jim, Missy, Tillamook, and Blackie. And they are all 4 jogging
Can I
down
tell you
the
while
lane.
I was jogging, she started catching up with me. She kept hurrying up, and I'm like, she's going to get the grain from me before I get her all the way there. So I had to stay ahead of her.
So, I mean, it was so cute. So when he got down to the paddock, she didn't care about the grain. She saw the grass.
Yeah, as soon as we got to
She never got the grain.
As soon as we got to where the paddock started, she saw that, and instead of chasing me, she veered right into the grass, started munching immediately.
Anyway, it was a good day. We had help from a neighbor. We don't have the thistles, we still have to do some stuff because the machine kind of broke down a little. Not because of what we did. So anyway, it's been a great day, a neighborly day, a day to be able to get some things done. And tomorrow is exciting. Bye. Hey, you guys. Subscribe and share this with others. We'd love to see more seniors on here and being able to help encourage them to live a homestead life. And you. Thanks. Bye.
Bye, everybody.